Hi there, and welcome to the Two Dudes Talk Tattoos podcast. A podcast about tattooing so great it'll tear the pants right off your hind end. I'm one of your hosts for this show. My name is Ryan Othis. You can find me online at bettertattooing.com, the YouTube channel of Better Tattooing, and on Instagram at RIAN_OTHUS. My co-host for this show is Brian Matthew. You can find him online at the Scarlet Veil Tattoo Parlor, a Tailored Fit Tattoo Gallery, or Brian Matthew Illustrations, or Brian Matthew Tattoos on Instagram. If you like what we do, please give us a follow, subscribe, like, any of those things, even a rating or review on the podcast platform of your choice that you choose to listen to us on. And also be sure to tell your friends. We really enjoy all the support we've had so far, and we'd like to keep it going. So thank you so much. We hope you enjoy the show. One last thing, you can support the show. If you'd like to support us, look down in the show description for a Buy Me a Coffee link and give us money. It turns out that somebody actually did that, so we're like, maybe we should tell people about it. Anyways, thank you so much. My energy's a little bit weird. It feels weird I haven't talked to you for like a fucking week, man, because I was like on vacation and shit. So it was like
it feels like it was like 3 months.
I was like,
does the podcast even exist anymore?
I know, dude. It's been like, it doesn't make any sense. It's funny. I've been getting, because like I don't social media or anything effectively, but I had people like writing to me being like, I fucking love the show, man. I was like, okay, thanks. Like I don't know what to say. It's like I'm just like standing awkwardly with my hands halfway up. I'm just like, oh, hey, and but the vast majority of the messages I've actually been getting in the past bit were like, oh my god, that critique you guys gave was absolutely murder. Like it was so fucking awesome. The dude, yeah,
didn't that guy send us money or whatever?
Yeah, dude,
bought us some coffee.
Yeah,
however that works.
He sent us like fucking, I don't know, like $20 or something. He's just like, thank you so much. Nice. We were rolling on the floor laughing at that. I was like, what? So you got to start the show with everything like this. We got to start pandering for cash because I think that no one knew that they could give us donations.
Nice, yeah. We're broke. Send us money.
This podcast is not self-sustaining. We've tried getting advertisers before and they haven't fucking paid us. So
Hollywood.
I use all that inside jargon bullshit. Like, hey, you get this and this. Like, I'm not doing your job. Can you just like tell me it in layman's terms? Oh, sorry. And they're like trying. Like, why wouldn't you just leave with that? Why are you gonna be like a fucking car salesman shit? Like,
plus, like, you're not the only fucking person that ever said, I'm not a lawyer. Speak to me like a fucking person. Like they should just know by now. I'd just be like, stop talking around the issue and just tell me directly what the fuck the issue is.
Yeah, fucking circular bullshit. Just, I don't get it. So, yeah, I'd say that. So I got a couple messages from people. It was nice. And then we got a couple questions that came in, which is kind of cool. I had somebody write me one and they were just like, I can't get through. I want to talk to you, not leave a message. And so because we have the listener line, right? And it just plays the Gilmore Girls theme song for like 35 seconds. And it's me screaming, leave a message. So I thought it was funny, but I guess somebody doesn't want to wait that long. It's like they're just on hold. So they sent us one and they were very irate, it seems, because they want to talk to us now about tattooing. It's like, no, I haven't replied yet. I'm thinking I might. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, I'm going to crack my garage door here.
Well, now is when you just text them back and you're like, hey, you can call now.
That'd be fucking smart too.
Now that we're recording.
Yeah, I moved the show schedule off to like bi-weekly.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's just like,
I had people ask me about it, and I was like, I have no idea.
yeah, I put it in one of the show
So
intros. It's like we got holidays and there's like all this stuff going on. You know what I mean? It's just weather changes. Just take the pressure off. You know, everyone's like, you got to be super rigid with this. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to chill. So I'm 40 now and I really want to just chill out. I had an existential crisis driving to work yesterday. I was like, fuck, like I could be more than halfway done with my life. What have I done with it? Why am I so stressed? I was like, this isn't
you
good.
drive too much.
I do drive too much. It's just like, we just like take it easy. Like this is supposed to be, like you've said all the way along, a fun time. Let's just chill. We're just having a chat. Why the fuck are you stressing out, Ryan? I'm gonna try to listen to people more often instead of talking. Drinking juice down the wrong fucking pipe. So yeah.
I spend like 89% of my entire life not talking.
That's fucking awesome. I need to start doing that
I
more.
think
Just
it freaks
listen.
people out.
No. Unless you're with people like me who just love to talk. And it's just like, all right, cool. Yes.
That's kind of what I'm surrounded by all the time, though. So like, you love to talk. Cassie loves to talk. People, at tattoo shops, they love to talk. So I just get to like exist in a room and listen and observe everything.
Oh, we had that. Was it yesterday? I was working on this lady. She's super duper cool, and there's like this whole family, like a gaggle. The mom died, and so they're all getting a tattoo in remembrance of her or something. And their energy for the situation and where they're marking their bodies seemed a bit off. Because they're just like, yeah, they're just, pussy, dick. They're just like saying random curse words and shit. Like their mom hated tattoos, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? So the lady I'm tattooing, we normally talk nonstop. It was like hour and a half, maybe 2 hours in, she falls dead silent, and so do I. And for about an hour, we don't talk. And randomly, I go, "Are you listening to what they're saying?" And she's like, "Oh yeah." So we're just like listening to other people's conversations, and it was fucking awesome. Like, wow, man, their lives are a mess. Just there and go, I'm glad that I'm not that mom. They brought in a picture of the mom too and like put it up, like looking over them as they're getting tattooed. And the mom's just like has a stern look or something. Like, what the fuck?
So they just like really hated their mom.
I guess apparently. So. They're just like joshing each other the entire time. Oh, you were the favorite. No, you're the. And I'm like, is that a bad thing? Like, I don't understand what is going on with you guys. They're all really close, and like my family is not at all. They talk about vacations. That's it. Or bad things that happen. There's never, how was your day?
I'm not incredibly close with anybody in my family. But I think that has more to do with the fact that I don't give a shit to get involved with everybody's bullshit. It's not inherently that I just hate everyone in my family. I just don't care for the craziness.
That's a topic for today. Getting involved with client crazy. That's a good one. I was actually going to want to talk about
it's like easy. Don't do it.
There we go. Topic discussed. Actually, I wanted to talk about because I was reading a bunch of Anthony Weichliss's stuff, and I've been following him on the social media here now for a little bit since you introduced him to the show and to me. And the way he approaches art is interesting because it's like so based on technique as opposed to like this weird empathy being an artist and creating something that it's just like you can do it, stupid, just do this. And I love that,
saying that this whole time.
So I've been rolling this stuff around in my head, and I've been talking to people who've had some apprentices recently about how they're training them and what they're doing, and how they're approaching the most basic idea of fundamental tattooing and trying to impart it on them. It's loud as fuck outside today. And I find a lot of things lacking. You know what I mean? It seems like there's an idea about where the end result should be, but the pathway there is just this fucking just zigzagging road all over the place. You know what I mean? So
I wanted to talk to you today actually about that because I have like this idea in my head. It's like a malleable bit of mush I'm trying to fucking iron out. And I don't know. What do you think about the current state of training in tattooing as we see it right now? Shut this.
I feel like we've discussed this like 500 times, but
No, I have an end result here
realistically,
I wanted to get to. So just trust me. I know we
I
haven't
mean,
touched on this.
it's not an exact question, right? Because there's so many different variables, tattoo schools, clowns trying to learn at home, YouTube learners,
Yeah.
terrible tattoo artists with terrible apprentices, good tattoo artists with terrible apprentices,
Yeah.
bad tattoo artists that with what could have been great apprentices, but they just don't know how to teach anyone.
Yeah.
So I mean, well, there's so many variables here.
Yeah.
It's an indirect question that can't directly be answered.
So my thought on this was because it's just such a fucking mess, right? Like there's no really well defined space as to where to start. Like there's no guaranteed, like this is literally the very first thing that you should do as an apprentice or as a mentor to start this relationship. I mean, past having the talks and agreements, blah, 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 maybe money, whatever, like any of the business stuff beside, right? The very first technique that a person should focus on when they start their journey into tattooing. Where do you think?
Oh, I have answers for that.
Yeah. Right on.
Step number one,
Yeah.
right? And this is my idea on breaking people's psychology, because the first thing that you're gonna fuck up on when you start tattooing is you're gonna be so excited. So number one, first step, you have to buy a sketchbook, an 11 by 14 page sketchbook, and fill every fucking page of that with circles and squares.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
That's
dude.
the moment that book is done, we can move on to step number two. But step number one is nothing but circles and squares, every single page of that sketchbook, right? And what it's going to do is it's going to stop you from being excited, and it's going to plot in your head that you're going to do a systematic event
every time, all the way along. Yeah.
It's going to literally immediately snap your psychology.
Yeah. I think that's great. That should probably be one of those things where every step of the way, some type of fundamental should be modifying, mollifying, abstracting some type of bit of psychology of the learner, right? And also teaching them some type of basic calculus of how to get from A to B when they're doing something. That's a pretty good start for a roadmap, right? You could have a thing, one side, action, result. Result is split into two columns, what your mind is doing and what your body's doing. I like that. The square and circle thing is fun because that's boring.
Right, it's boring, but by the last page, you're gonna get inventive while you're doing this, because you're gonna get so fucking bored while you're doing it.
Yeah.
So you're either going to challenge yourself when you do it to make absolutely perfect circles and squares, or you're going to get lazier and lazier as you do it. So I will be able to actually gather information from you based on the last page of that book.
That's so cool. The last page has got all these like weird designs, squares and squares and squares that are all perfect and stuff, a circle around it getting bigger. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah. That's artistic. You are someone we want to be working with. Versus it's just like one big square and it says fuck you in the middle of it.
Exactly. Right. Like you're going to be able to actually see a lot inside that person's head from that sketchbook.
That's fucking great, dude. I like that.
Especially the last 5 pages.
Yeah. Front and back, everything. 11 by 14 as well. That's so grand. That's just miserable. It should be a yearly thing that we do as tattooers. Like if you can make it through it, then you should renew your license. If you can't, it's time to find that job down at that fast food place that probably pays more. That's fucking great. Okay. So step one, break the psychology, get them connected. I always figure like step 2 is always learning the lingo, you know, because if you don't know the inside words and like work in the
lingo
front,
is just going to come, right? It's not something we actually have to focus on. So like let's say you move from Canada to Alabama. In a couple of months, you'll just be able to tell through context what people are talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So lingo is just some thing that you can throw in the back burner. Step number 2 is a Mr. Miyagi scenario where you're specifically going over cleaning, wax on, wax off.
Okay.
So you're having them clean everything. And they can't question why they're cleaning it. They have to get in the habit of just constantly cleaning it.
Okay. I gotcha. So we get into cleaning and maintenance.
Right.
Okay. This is where you understand how this stuff works, right?
The sketchbook was stop being excited, break this down to a process.
Okay.
Step 2 is now we're physically in a process.
Okay.
And there's reason, right? We want you to get this second nature cleaning. Everything should be clean constantly.
Okay. Any explanation as to why any of that stuff is not going to happen now? Just do it. Like that's simple. Is this the same thing of breaking down that psychology of just like trying to have somebody who's instead of trying to be creative? Like this is all just like everything is process based.
Right. They don't have to know why yet.
Mm-hmm.
They just have to do the damn thing.
Okay.
Right. Like everybody is right now going to be arguing with that idea. Well, you have to tell them why they're. No, you don't. Stop it. Right? This person is not in a place yet where the why matters.
Yeah.
They're just in a place where process matters.
Okay.
So they just have to clean. It's going to make them busy. It's going to keep them busy all day. They're going to get used to this process.
Get them accustomed to being in the environment and interacting with it, being aware of all the little small nooks and crannies and niches and stuff, and not knowing why you're cleaning it, but just doing it. You can become a part of the space. Take ownership.
You have to show them, like what to clean, why, or how to clean it, but you don't have to explain why.
Yeah. I guess you can make up your mind pretty easily with that. Like the toilet should be clean. Let's go fucking clean it. Okay.
Right. Okay. So it shouldn't be dusty. So you got toolboxes shouldn't be filthy.
No. Oh yeah. That was one thing that people have been seeing me do is like when I wipe down my lamp, I'll do the base. I'll take my mayo stand and I wipe down the wheels and the stem, the hands, the underneath, the bottom of my chair. Like I do like all of these areas, cleaning it, and everyone is like, "Huh? It's clean now."
You're saying that like the people that you're surrounded by aren't cleaning these things?
I have seen people throughout my career doing some very questionable cleaning techniques. Like one of the worst ones I had seen was the clean room being in the toilet. Like right next to it. So there's the scrub and the processing area is like literally like on each side of a toilet and this like oversized like restroom. I was like, it kept all the clean goods and stuff in there.
Makes sense.
I know. And I was just like, I don't think I can work here, guys. Like, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, you really don't see a problem with somebody taking a fucking scream inducer right next to these clean tubes. Like, well, they're clean. Bye.
They were clean until somebody flushed the toilet and fecal matter shot in the air.
Somebody skipped step 2.
Exactly.
That's fucking okay. I'm on board with this. This is I'm getting a little bit of this malleable mush kind of coming together now. All right. So what's your step 3? So we've got somebody doing this stuff, understanding tedium and boredom, occupying their space and just fucking cleaning, becoming a part of the space, taking ownership. What's your next step?
Step 3 is just drawing.
Okay.
Right. I like to try to give homework. So naturally, homework should be designing Flash, right?
Yeah.
So the next sketchbook, once again, going back to the sketchbook, is every single page of that sketchbook should have Flash designs in it.
Okay.
Right. So now their process is clean all day, draw all night.
Oh yeah. Okay. Stay immersed. Okay. I got you. Is there a way that you want stuff laid out, or is it just like, or like a specific style, or like when you're looking at it, is it just we're trying to keep them interested by doing the things that they like, or is it just like we're going like through the ages from start to beginning?
No, it's just flashes. Draw whatever you want, but draw what you think tattoo designs look like, right? Because we can't help somebody until we can see what it is that they're saying in their head.
Gotcha.
So if they think that flash designs look like scribbly ass weird shit, like we have to fix that. If they think flash designs look specifically like traditional tattoos that they found on Pinterest, we have to fix that,
Yeah.
etc. So this is all about getting into their head, but making them proactive throughout the day too.
Yeah, this is cool. This goes along. I wrote a really long article, I think about a year ago, where I was talking about the collaboration between a mentor and a student. When I was pointing out specific things like timelines and stuff like this, it was kind of falling into the same rubric. And it's about finding like as a good teacher, you're developing your teaching whatever method based on your student, not how blah 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 blah. It shouldn't be just because like this is how we're going to apply it to everyone. It's individualized with everything, right? So
so like these things, right? The draw circles and squares, clean everything, draw your shit, etc. Like this is how you get information to individualize something.
Yeah, you're training yourself along the same lines as this person.
Right. This is all extracting information.
Wow, that makes that's kind of where I went with this stuff. Is like trying to understand like more complex things you're going to get into later. Is like if somebody has enough drive to push themselves to get into it, or maybe they're more reserved. Like how can you slow them down or speed them up? How can you once you've invested time into this stuff, is understanding them well enough that you know how to, in essence, manipulate them to bring the best out of them and get the most efficient results that you can, right? Like that's kind of the goal.
Like that first 2 days, where they're just nonstop cleaning all fucking day. Like if by day 2 it's 1:00 in the afternoon, they're like, "Hey guys, can I just take a break? Like this is so boring." Then like, all right, so you might not have a whole lot of drive.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember reading stories about like Japanese tattooers, bringing in apprenticeships, and like the first like year was just you washing undies, like it was that making food and washing undies. You don't complain, you don't do anything. If you do, you get beat. And that was it. Learn to shut up and do your fucking job. And it's like, it's archaic, of course, looking back at it now after post Spock era. But there had to have been some type of intelligence behind that, right? Like to make sure that you're willing, able, capable to do these things and not fucking leave and just give up. We're trying to bring out a warrior.
I mean, that's how apprenticeships used to even be in the US, like the dude would be like, "Hey, I only drink soda from the vending machine 3 blocks away. You need to go get me a soda out of that vending machine." It's like, fuck. All right. So you got to go down the road and get a goddamn soda. Or, like they just have all this weird shit that like nowadays we would call hazing, even though like it was specifically it's an aptitude and battery exam. It's how much shit is this kid gonna take?
Yeah, you're trying to find their limits. Yeah, is this someone that you can, even as an instructor, as a mentor, like respect? You know, respect goes 2 ways, and usually one way it has to be fucking earned. So it's just bad because people take it as like, oh, everyone, you're thinking about the most altruistic society in which all of these mentors are blah blah blah. We're not saying that there wasn't assholes who were doing this shit. Of course there were. That's just like there's bad parents and bad kids and bad everything. It doesn't matter. But we're aiming for perfection. That's probably one of the fastest ways to get there.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want somebody going into the military, who's going to go and fight, possibly die, just being like, well, how do you feel today? Oh, you need to take a break? Okay, cool. You just go and have a nap, right? It's not. You're trying to do proficiency in something as somebody who's got a lot of drive. You got to fucking push that into them sometimes. Any hoozles. All right. got the prep, the clean, we've got the flash. What's your next step? Well, what do you think?
So this is like where it'll start to actually get into education, right?
Mhm.
So judging off of their artwork and all that shit, you know what you have to like start to focus on or fix, right? So it would be like a two-part thing where there's going to be educational influence, like this is what you need to draw and this is why you need to draw it. And then the homework side of that is go home and draw this thing 100 times, right?
Yeah.
So this step just is like the most common sense next step to take. It's okay, we see your flaws, we need to work on flaws.
Yeah. This is where I see most people actually starting with their apprentices when they're getting into stuff. Go home, do this, just draw these 6 pieces of flash 100 times and bring them back. You know, not even a why, but just
the issue. If people jump right into that and they don't know why they're jumping right into that, then they're not helping a situation, and their chances are actually harming a situation, right? Like if they bring in a sketchbook full of artwork that they just randomly drew while they were there working with you, and you're like, okay, what's this supposed to be? And they're like, it's neo-traditional.
Yeah.
And you can look at it and see a million flaws and explain to them why it's not neo-traditional. Then we know, like, okay, so this person is geared towards neo-traditional. They know that that's what they like stylistically. Now we know how to help them get to that level. And we can explain why their shit's not at that level.
Yeah.
But if you're just like, I don't know, man, here's a flash book from 1974. Draw all this shit in there. It might be fun.
Copy this rose dagger combo in every way imaginable.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do like with that stylistic goal? Like when you're getting into it, are you focusing on that stylized application initially because not only they enjoy it, but it's just like a single thing that they can do is like a good starting point for a foundation, or like
so they have to be genuinely interested in what they're doing to be able to learn more, right? If you're like, no, fuck neo-traditional, let's do realism, then they're gonna just be like, I don't know what the fuck that is. You know? So they're just gonna be lost entirely and unenthusiastic and really confused. So you have to go with what it is they're wanting to learn first. Right. Afterwards, you can start to explain that like they have to expand their horizons. Like you can't just focus on neo-traditional. You can if you want to be a half-ass tattoo artist, but you have to actually focus on more things than just this one thing that you find relevant to yourself, because it's not relevant to 70% of the fucking population.
If you want to earn a good living in tattooing, you're not going to be a stylized artist that just does peonies, right? You're going to have to do everything that goes in. You got to be able to do from traditional all the way up to realism and past if you want to.
There's a weird unspoken bullshit truth to Instagram and social media where like we see the tattoo artists that are just posting one particular thing, but we fucking know that they've never just tattooed that one thing. They've worked in street shops, they've done shitty portraits, they've done shitty traditional tattoos, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody has to do this, so you might as well try to be good at doing all of these things you don't like to do. But that's after
the initial bit that comes into it. Because that's where you can start building your foundational stuff too, right? Like if you know that this person is only into this, like neo-traditional, right? You know that you're going to be able to easily explain off of those basic fundamentals, because you're going to have no color blending, like line saturation, like these things, like composition in a very specific space, how to build into different things off of what they've already learned foundationally. So you're training yourself again through that. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. What do you think a timeline is on that? Is that going to be subjective based on the individual, or is it just like
it's going to depend on how fast they get shit done,
So if they're pushing it, we've got a year, maybe 6 months, a week.
I would expect it to be done in like a month.
Yeah. First bit, month wise.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is fast. So
uh, yeah, fast track. So in your perfect mind, we have somebody who is the star pupil, like time to skin being what within the first year.
well, I mean, so like essentially all we did right here is just a couple of weeks worth of figuring out who this person is.
Oh, okay, I
You
gotcha.
know? So like, that's the idea. Like the drawing in the sketchbooks and bullshit, et cetera, et cetera. Like you can do that shit in 2 days if you wanted to.
Okay,
So like we're just viewing this as like this was 2 or 3 weeks. It was
Okay.
pretty quick to get to the point that we needed to be at to be able to teach this person
gotcha.
what they're supposed to be doing.
We're not wasting a bunch of time because in those first 3 weeks, if you find some type of major deficiency, you're not going to work with. It's better to end it sooner rather than 18 months in. You're like, I don't know if I can fucking teach this person.
Well, there's that, and then where you have to stay applicable to the attention span of people now, and people nowadays have way shorter attention spans than what they used to have. That's why TikTok videos are like fucking 4 seconds long, and Instagram is only like 2 seconds to see one stupid thing, and then you keep scrolling, etc. Because our attention spans are so much fucking shorter than what they used to be.
Wow. I like that. That sounds good, dude. Wow. So I guess next logical steps once you've understood how this stuff is, then just carefully crafting the experience for the individual based on whatever strengths that they may have or interests, and then just building it up from there, allowing them time to grow and learn, right?
Yeah, so realistically, after that would just be trying to get them as far removed from computer and digital elements as possible, and specifically utilizing traditional methods, and more specifically probably colored pencils before anything else.
Yeah, I like that one
just
too.
because constantly using colored pencils just sets in your head the hand motions that you'll be using later on.
Yeah. I was told, like, when I started, they're like, you got to use these with the fucking Prismacolor Copic markers, Copic, whatever the fuck they are, right? You got to do these ones because this is going to blend more. Do these watercolors. These pans are fucking great, or these liquid watercolors. And I never got any of that because, like, one, it's cost prohibitive for some people to get a whole setup of fucking paints, you know what I mean, and brushes and all this other shit. Where you can just go out and get a fucking package of Crayolas, like literally Crayola pencils are great, man. They have actually really good color quantities inside the goddamn wax and that shit. You can go out and get them for $4 and just start killing shit.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense for somebody to use markers because markers are not really applicable to tattooing.
No.
I mean, you can make some great art with markers, but the idea of how you use a marker is not anywhere near what it would be like for tattooing. Whereas a colored pencil, like if you want a really strongly saturated area, you have to keep everything really tight and consistent. If you want super light, fluffy areas, you spread out your hand motion and keep a lighter touch, etc.
Yeah.
It's a fucking pencil. So it's directly applicable to tattooing.
Yeah. No, this is not saying that you're going to use the exact same circular techniques as you would with the colored pencil with a fucking needle, especially like a 35 mag, people. That's not the same. Right. It's the concept.
You will get some monstrous fucking hand cramps, and you will get used to working hours on end holding on to something small and moving it around.
1/4 inch grip versus like the new, like, what I've seen some people using like 2-inch grips when they're like tattooing their hands. It looks like they're holding a giant ball sack, they're just like rub.
Nice.
What the fuck? No, not all of us did that. Like, I learned on 3/8 tubes. The fucking pencil grips, man. Like, those were just your hands after like 6 hours. I mean, you have to pry them apart. I remember like having my gown on and just like crushing my hand back and holding it because it just wanted to go fucking velociraptor together. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
it's almost embarrassing to admit how long it took me to realize I could wrap a paper towel around my fucking tube for a bigger grip.
I was like 6 years, dude. I was like forever.
It's like years before I even had the idea.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this isn't bad. Wow, it even deadened the vibration a little bit. It's just like, whoa. Because everyone's like selling those big knurled grips. Remember back in the day? They're like fucking $50 a piece or something. And I was like, I don't want to spend the money on that. I get the 3/8 grips for $1. Like, that's so silly. It's got the special teardrop design for advanced ergonomics. Get fucked. paper towel that shit, fucking just duct tape on it, whatever. Fucking
Yeah,
masking
and when
tape.
you hang on to the paper towel long enough, it like molds to your grip.
Yeah, it's memory foam, dude.
So
Hell yeah.
why would you not?
What's that stretchy tape that we use now? It's like the tension tape shit.
Oh, Coban?
Yeah, the Kobe. I seen some guy, I swear to God, no paper towel, no nothing. 3/8 grip, wrapping. A whole roll, grabs another one, wrap. He put like 3 rolls on it to get the fucking grip super big. I'm like, my God, that's expensive, bro. It's like, it's all squishy. I'm like, why don't you put some underneath that? Huh? Like paper towel? I think it was like a convention like 10 years ago. He goes, what do you mean? And I just like showed him. He's like, oh, I'm like, dude, you have wasted so much money on that machine and then trying to take it off, you need like a fucking box cutter to remove that shit.
Yeah, that's like $2 worth of wrap on your fucking tube.
Oh man, that's funny. It's non-sequitur. Okay, so coming back, so we got the training stuff. I think that's probably like a pretty cool way just to like maybe just lay that. That's like the foundation stuff, right? If you're coming into this, maybe you don't have the best mentor or something. Maybe if you're, just starting out with your first apprentice, if you're trying to figure out how to get into their head to start training, that's like
Right.
this is where you should be, right? Paying attention to those things. I like that, dude.
Ultimately, that's what's important about teaching anybody is just being able to extract information from them.
Yeah.
And we're not looking for personal information or like their emotional information or any of the psycho stuff. We're just specifically looking for what it is, like how their brain is acting, how they're approaching simple tasks, and what it is that in their imagination they're actually striving for. And once we can appeal to all three of those or all of that stuff, and figure it out, then we can make the entire next bit of process so much easier.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then it's just literally technique training. It's A to B on everything, right?
Right.
Yeah. I was thinking of this, and one of the analogies I pulled up in my head when I was trying to work through some of these ideas recently was like thinking of how you learn music. When you learn music, if you pick up a violin or a trombone or a set of drums, when you're learning to read music, you start off with the most basic ideas, right? Positioning, like volume, temper, speed, things like this, right? And it's just like hot cross buns is advanced for when you first pick up a trumpet. You start out with whole notes on the C, bah, bah, and that's just it. And it's so basic, but when you take it that way, you can see people grow. Like it's a linear growth. There may be people who get a bit of a curve and it spikes quicker than others, but it's sustainable growth over time. And I think that's one of those things that like Tony was trying to do with his training is just creating these A to B things that show steady progress that can be applied bit by bit by bit. And if you have that, like my idea would be if you have that in tattooing, it'd be a lot easier to get some of these more advanced empathetic techniques applied because you'll have enough of that foundational understanding to get to it. So that's where my brain's I got to redesign the website, and so it's bad. Evidently it's difficult to navigate. Who would have thought? 100 articles on there are like fucking 10,000 words a piece, and people are like, I don't know how to search on there. I'm like, oh, because we didn't have a search bar.
Nice.
I know, right? So I was talking with just read all of this. They're like, the average person in an educational course setting is going to stay on the web page or a video maximum of 4 minutes. So that's what time you have to get all of that information in their head. If it takes 38 minutes to read an article, you're not going to get them anywhere near it. They're going to skim through until they find what they want, and then they're going to move on. They're going to miss all the other stuff that's going to be important. So I was like, oh, I'm so long-winded.
Yeah, I mean that directly goes back to people's attention spans are just shorter and shorter and shorter.
Man. Yeah.
What's cool about that is that people's abilities to process information has actually gone up.
Yeah.
So they can process information faster. They just can't hold their attention as long.
Yeah, and they don't need to hold the memories of it anymore either because we have places to store it. Like we used to have to read books and remember everything, rote memorization, and you don't need to do that anymore. You got Google.
Right.
You remember your search query, you can get halfway through, then you remember everything that's going on, you're good to go. Probably not something you want to see with your doctor. When they're mid-surgery, like, hang on, can you pull up Bing? I need to see this one picture I was looking for. But yeah, we're gonna try to do that. I think it'd be kind of fun. Same with like the YouTube channel, because we're almost at 1,000. My goal was to get 1,000 subscribers in 1 year, because I guess that's good. And we're like just there. We're like at 970. I'm like, yeah. So we're gonna beat it before the end of the year, which is kind of a big thing. But I'm thinking about
You just
that.
need 20 assholes.
Fucking pricks who are listening.
on,
just
guys.
go
Can't be that
follow
hard.
it. Jesus, get me up there. Get me up there. Just go play my videos on loop to get my watch hours up. And then I can get monetized, and maybe I can make $38 next year to pay for some of this fucking hosting. Anyways, that's a good spot to stop for a break for our commercial sponsors.
Nice.
The new platform that we're hosted through has it'll insert dynamic ads for you just right off the hop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So we don't have to do anything?
nothing. It just goes in.
I don't have to contact anybody and be like, hey, so advertising?
Yeah, no, they won't do shit. If we want to get on some other stuff, and they'll send us emails about like we're doing live reads or something, but I said no live reads. No.
I saw some email. It popped up on my phone, and it was some chick or robot or something was like, oh, hey, I sent you an email about this. You never responded. Blah, 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 advertising. I was like, okay.
Yeah, dude, I see
bit
that
of
as
aggressive.
well. Yeah, they want us to join this special podcast network. So it's a new podcast network. And it's
Right.
for educational podcasts. They want us to be there because
Are we an
we're-
educational podcast?
yeah, we are.
I feel like it's up for our people, our listeners to
Audience,
decide, I guess.
yeah.
Is this educational?
Hit us up in the fucking comments. Did you learn anything from this? Do you learn more when Ryan's sober? Like it's just a different vibe now. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll get back to them and see about this. I don't fucking know. But we did have a couple interesting emails. So I got one email I gotta send you. So there's this dude who joined the YouTube channel, and he has written a comment, well, maybe a blog on literally every fucking video that I've done.
Nice.
I don't even think he's a tattooer. So he sent me this fucking, and I'll hold up the screen here so you can see. I mean, here we go. We're gonna just keep on scrolling. He sent this fucking novel. I want to highlight a couple points out of this. The email is about wrapping a tattoo. It says, "Dear Ryan, maybe you can clear this up in my head. I've always thought of a tattoo as a fresh wound and should be treated as such. It's simple in comparison to some wounds. Like if I would get a wound on my knee from skinning my knee, short of picking out the gravel, I'd treat it just about the same as I would a tattoo. So like don't clean, or just keep it clean, don't scrub it or soak it, let it breathe, don't pick at it, etc." Then he goes into the story, and you got to hear this story, all right? One old boy tell me he wraps his tattoo in cellophane because that's the way you do it. I heard this as much as I didn't often hear from customers who had but one small tattoo already. So I guess he's heard this from other people. He just never got an explanation. Next section. I ran into this old boy in Richmond, Kentucky, and he was bringing up, quote, aftercare, unquote. I already knew he was an idiot, but I was dying to hear his explanation of why he used cellophane on fresh tattoos. He gave me some long explanation about how lymph stuff, clear stuff, comes out during a tattoo, is resorbed when it's trapped overnight under cellophane. And this is important in healing the tattoo and setting pigment. I started to think that it might make sense. Then I remember who this guy was, and in an attempt to be a better tattoo piercer himself, had given himself a Prince Albert so he could tell people that he had done it. He iced his dick and shoved one of those curved upholstery needles behind the tip of the shaft and out the pee hole. He immediately started bleeding, saw blood, passed out, and was found by his wife a few hours later in a pool of his own blood, taken to the ER. Knowing all this, I just assumed he was full of shit. Moved on. My buddy Gaza from New Zealand, who was with me, verified that he heard the same story about this guy. I don't know why we need to hear from Gaza, but thanks, Gaza. He assured me that the cellophane thing, as a buddy from Gaza, was done most often in high volume military vacation type shops, where the type of people who get tattooed are also the type of people who like to get drunk and start peeling off the bandage to show off their new tattoo. He says a good way for drunks to show it off without getting it infected or full of sand the first night they got it. So he's got a whole bunch of other stuff he writes, but that was initially the question: why wrap it in cellophane? And where did it start? And I right off the hop, it was just so people could see this shit. Like that's the answer, right? But I thought that you really would like the pee hole part of that story.
An interesting thought.
What's your remembrance of the whole cellophane bullshit?
I mean, I couldn't tell you where it would have started, and like it's almost an asinine concept to call out the idea that it would have started near military bases, because most tattooing started near military bases, right? Like that just makes sense. But I would say that it probably started with some general tattoo artists who had accidentally burnt themselves, right? So they went to the doctor, and the doctor was explaining to them how to dress their burn. And when you're dressing a burn, the goal when you're dressing a burn is to keep moisture locked into the burn, right? Mm-hmm. Because that helps it actually heal better. So if we're treating, like, let's say you burn yourself while you're cooking or something like that. I just recently did this to myself, and I'm proficient at first aid, hence no scars or discolorations anymore.
Oh, nice, dude.
So like, let's say, you catch a little grease on your arm, it bubbles up and gets all fucking weird and shit like that. Your two best friends are going to be Vaseline and non-stick bandages. They have like that plastic film on the inside of them, and you're going to leave that shit on there for as long as possible. Obviously, taking it off, cleaning the wound, reapplying Vaseline, reapplying a new bandage, etc. But you keep the bandage over top of it because it helps trap in moisture. So I would have assumed that the idea of using cellophane would have came from that thought process. But the big issue there being that they're trying to treat a tattoo as if it's a burn, right? Yeah. And it's not anywhere near the same thing. That stuff, burn is really deep tissue injuries, and a tattoo is a surface abrasion. It's essentially a rash, it's not really that bad of a thing. And breathability is pretty much what we're going for. So cellophane is kind of killing your tattoo.
I muted it so you could just keep on going. I thought you were rolling there, dude. Yeah, it's weird trying to describe a wound, because I found literature back in the 70s when they were describing a tattoo wound as something akin to like a surgical wound. This is where a lot of the modern aftercare treatments have come from, right? Where we're looking at it as something adjacent to another type of wound without looking at it as actually just the wound that it is, right? We're always trying to say it's like a sunburn, or it's like a scrape, or it's like a cut, but it's not. It's a tattoo. There's implantation of a foreign substance in a controlled and measured way that causes topical disruption. Like that's it, right? And it's unique. It's very unique in how we do it. And so treating it as a burn, as long as it's like a mild burn, I could see could result in a good result. But it doesn't.
Well, you'll heal the skin, but you might fuck the actual tattoo up.
Yeah.
Especially if you're using petroleum-based substances.
Yeah. It's not, it's so fucking complex. And this is that thing we keep going back. Like I know I've been harping on for so goddamn long. I've been harping on this for like so long because tattooers in general are just never going to change their aftercare. Like it's the one thing that they're never willing to confront or even just like open up their brain and think about. So cellophane, I don't agree with the use of cellophane. You wouldn't put cellophane and Aquaphor on a sunburn, or on a deep burn, was coming into like, I don't know, your thigh. Maybe you got it on the side of your calf because you were riding your hog and you burnt it on the exhaust when you were drinking one day, or, you fell off your bike. There's never been a way that a doctor has been like, hey, that's how you care for something. In very controlled, specific situations, it could work. Yes. But easiest
Well,
way.
even in those scenarios, they would still recommend a breathable bandage.
Yeah. You want something that's absorbent.
Like, you can't
bandage.
wrap fucking saran wrap around your face and survive. You can't put it around your skin and assume your skin is going to survive.
That's the like most people don't know that like up to 10% of the respiration that your body actually does is through your skin. Your skin literally breathes. Covering it and smothering it is not going to result in healthy skin.
Right.
That's pretty simple, people. So where did it start? I heard that it started because people were just being stupid and they wouldn't leave on bandages. So people wrapped it up with that. That was it. It was a covering. It wasn't good, but it was better than not. I heard that my first like week of tattooing because I'm like, why are you wrapping them in plastic? That seems stupid. And that's what I was told. But everyone knows my first apprenticeship and shop experience was probably not the best way to get into the industry. So who knows if it's right or not?
So pretty much all we can do is really speculate on the thought process. But like realistically speaking, I'm sure the thought process from the original up into why people still do it nowadays probably just transmuted into
Whatever.
now we can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see it and poke it and feel cool.
I can say there's some weird things that happen with this. I pulled up the history of cellophane. So there's this monopoly from DuPont who originally held a patent on this stuff up until the end of World War II, where they were like, I guess, sued for monopolizing this shit. And around the same time as when we started to see things like Aquaphor actually hit the market. So there's probably a bunch of things coalescing at the same time that's super complex that we could never fucking figure out. But I guess, Curtis, thanks for the email. Just pick your poison, I guess. Like whatever you think probably fits the best for where you're at is probably it. But don't put it on your tattoo. All right. Holy smokes. Man, we've been getting some long questions here. I got another one. A fucking good roller here. That's a big one.
It's kind of my favorite though.
Yeah. You like these in-depth
right? Because they're going to be really descriptive. And the more descriptive they are, the more fun and better answers we can have.
Yeah. So this guy Sebastian wrote in and he says, all the stuff you guys talk about is great. I'm super excited to see the videos on the YouTube channel, blah, 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 blah. But he's having problems with goddamn ink flow, to quote Sebastian here. I do single needle tattoos inspired by the tradition of Jack Rudy and old biker stuff. I love it, but I have such a big problem with ink flow. It drags out tattoo sessions way longer than they need to be, and I use way too much ink, even though I like the results. No one in my city, maybe not even in this country, uses single needles, as far as he knows. So I don't have anyone I can sit down with and troubleshoot this stuff. Other tattooists have ideas about how to do this stuff, but most of the time, everyone seems to be at a loss of how to do it correctly. The big problem I have is that ink pools up in the tube and doesn't come out until all of a sudden it just blasts out the end. Sometimes it will work, but not all the time. And even with this, I'm still able to finish the tattoo. I give a bunch of stuff about all the different setups he has, different machines, tried different brands of needles, which I wanted to talk to you about as well today. He's tried disposables, steel tubes. He's tried every different type of brand of ink.
Give me 2 seconds here.
Yeah.
Somebody's screaming my name. I got to figure out what's going on.
Cool. Back to that. And dude, with how clumsy sometimes Cassie is, I was like, oh shit, like hopefully she didn't fucking fall into the lawnmower or something. I was like a little bit worried about that.
Oh, it's just the dog.
Oh shit. Where were we here? Oh yeah. All right, you ready to get back at it? What was this again? It's the guy's trying to do single needles and ink spilling out. He uses direct drive rotaries, and they all have a 4.2 millimeter cam. He's tried every type of needle. He uses disposable tubes, trying to use a 3-round tube, tried ones, fives, 9 diamonds. He's used every type of ink. He runs his voltage on his machine around 5.5 volts on a direct drive. He's using the single band on the needle for back pressure in the tube. And the moment the needle, I run the needles out with the needle grouping pointing down the bar with no bend on the needle. He's tried bending it. He's tried playing around with how far out the needle is, how close in it is, a bunch of stuff, and it just doesn't know it. He feels like he's close to cracking it, but has no idea about how to progress any further. He feels like he's tried everything. So he wants to know how to stop shit from falling out of the fucking tube. That's pretty simple.
Well, when you were reading it from the beginning, it sounded like he would get no ink flow.
And then all of a sudden,
And
it would
then,
just plop.
Right, there's blurts of ink flow.
Mm-hmm. So my first thought is the type of machine. We're direct drive, especially if we're going to be using one of like the old Singer style individual cam rolling bar on needle bar, right, through disposable tube. You're going to be getting that apex switch on the hang every time it's coming down around the bottom part of the cam, which is going to end up breaking any of that momentum and holding it steady, especially depending on the band tension that you got there. And when you do actually hit, what's happening is the needle, because it's a single fucking needle when you're using it, it's flexing against the back of the tube. And then when it does hit and you actually get it to start striking the skin and there's enough back pressure on that needle, it's bending out and dumping a bunch of fucking ink, right? That's simple shit. Usually that's going to come from cam throw being way too fucking long. That's it. And then second is you're not leading off the fucking tube. Simple. Bring that thing down.
I was trying to think in my head if there was a scenario where I had a hard time getting ink to flow with a single needle. Because
it's never.
There's nothing in the way. Like your ink's just gonna fall out of your fucking inkwell anyway.
Yeah, no matter what. Like usually you're gonna be single needle. You got to have a steeper fucking angle with your hand holding backwards. Because if you hold it 90 degrees perpendicular off the skin, it falls out. It doesn't stay in the fucking tube. You know. Yeah.
So this was an unusual scenario.
Yeah. Most time on that,
I would say. I would almost wonder if he's using too tight of a rubber band then. Like maybe the rubber band's just really pressing the needle to the back of the tube.
I don't think so. I think it's a good needle pressure because, like, at least in my hypothesis, right, is as soon as that flex is happening, right, then that ink is spilling out because he's going to have to get to a certain amount of depth or pressure on the actual skin with that needle striking for that bend to happen. When that bend happens, it's releasing that fucking what's the fucking thing?
So like if his rubber band's too tight and holding the needle onto the tube too much, then the needle's flexing forward.
Maybe. I think it's bowing out like this. As soon as it hits, it's bowing into, causing a break wherever that fucking surface tension has been collected on the backside of the pigment. That'd be me. Well, let's run both scenarios. Why don't you run one and make, because I mean they both could be fucking right. You know what I mean? So you do yours first. How's that?
Mine's a pretty simple fix, I guess. You know, so like I would try two things that would be absolutely wrong first. Right? A, run it with no rubber band and see what happens. And do this shit on yourself, you know, obviously. Run it with no rubber band. Just see what happens.
Yep.
Right? If ink's coming out of it and it's tattooing great, but like it's shitty because there's no rubber band on it, then there's probably way too much tension caused by the rubber band.
And poor.
Second, I would flip it to where the soldered needle is against the tube. And then bend my needle bar, because then you have a bend, but it's being that solder is stopping it from bending back the other way too far. Which goes against everything we know in tattooing. But it's just to see if that fixes it temporarily, because both of those scenarios would tell you that it's just too much tension on the needle.
Wait, you run solder up in your tubes?
For liners.
You do? Oh, wow. That's so wild.
Yeah, so needle bar.
Yeah.
Needle.
Yeah. I flip it.
Right.
Mine's opposite.
So, and that's the back of the tube.
Yeah, no, I do mine
So
backwards.
when I bend it,
yeah,
perfect tension.
yeah, I've always had mine.
If you're
soldered
running
back.
your liner like that,
yeah,
then your needle is having too much tension on it. So it's gonna bow forward a little bit.
that's super interesting. I've always ran mine solder down.
And then you flip that for mags.
Yeah, no, I run my stuff mag and liner the same solder back. That's so wild.
You know, man, this is old school. You gotta hook to the left or whatever for your
loop left.
liners and hook to the right
Yeah,
for your mags.
no, yeah, I do loop left, man. Both. Maybe it's just like how my needles are built. Like mine are always just like pop, 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 pop. That's wild. Wow. Well, we evidently have a different fucking setup.
You know.
I'll have to try that sometime. I've never tried it. I always just fucking put it in, solder back, more surface area against the backside of the tube, which control your ink flow a little bit differently, and just fucking rock and roll. Wow, that's neat. That actually explains a lot.
Solder forward.
Solder forward. That's funny, dude.
Solder forward, and then when you give that slight bend to your needle bar, the soldered area sits back in your well.
Yeah.
And then the needle goes straight down the tube.
Yeah. That's what just we got to try each other's ways. I go to work this week. I'm going to be like, fucking A. All right. I'm just going to flip this around and see what happens. Because I don't know if it'll work well with my hand. That's kind of interesting. Okay. So that's one. Try flipping your needle. If you're doing it my way normally, solder back, flip that motherfucker and give it a bend. If you normally go solder up, flip the motherfucker back around and try it that way. That's super cool. Other thing I'd say is regardless of what your positioning is, depending on that actual flex that you're having, increasing some of the band tension is going to happen, decreasing isn't going to happen. It doesn't matter, right? You can play one with the viscosity of the pigment and try to slow it down as it's coming out, right? Add a little bit of glycerin, vegetable glycerin, food grade, 99% pure, whatever the fuck. Try to thicken it up. As it's coming down, it'll be able to create a slower track coming out because you don't need a lot of ink coming down and out of the tube to do single needle work. Simple, right? Next one is
right.
If you're doing your uptake with the going over top of your ink cap, if you have it turned on or not, whatever, just don't bottom out. As soon as that well is full, take your machine and tap it over the back of your finger on top of some paper towel in your stand. Empty out any of the excess back pressure or extra fluid inside the tube and create just a very thin amount where only the tube stem, like tip, not back in the stem, the tip is just the only bit that has pigment in it. That's it. You're going to decrease that back pressure when the machine's moving at whatever speed that it's moving at, and it'll slowly start dropping it out. It was simple.
But at the same time, you could just try to water down your black.
Wow.
Maybe it's too viscous.
Maybe it is too viscous. Well, you're using dynamic. Stuff like
we
that.
don't know what brands.
Yeah, he's a dynamic fusion, Alla Prima. There's a whole bunch of stuff, which I didn't want to drop names, right? Silverback, fusion, talons, solid, like every type, intense. There's a bunch of different viscosities inside that, but I mean, sticking with one and trying to just work with that one specifically, like silverback,
you know what?
talons.
I would just run this shit like it was a gray wash then.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Just like make like a 75% black solution. The rest of the way
just
up.
fucking go with that. Yeah, that would work better with the fucking single needle anyways if you're running it. That was like why talons always work great with that stuff because it was so watered down. Yeah. You don't have to worry about oversaturation, decrease the chance that you get in a blowout. You can take your time more. I mean, working at 5 volts on a direct drive is pretty slow. I've seen people working like 3 to 5 volts with that stuff. And I was like, what?
It must be going for like the dotty bullshit kind of look.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Dotty bullshit kind of look.
Well, whatever the fuck people call it. Pointillism.
The shit that heals out smooth regardless of how much effort you put into the goddamn dots at the beginning of time when you do it. Yeah, right. That shit. Fuck. Yeah, so there you go, Sebastian. Like that's our best way of trying to deal with this. Like I think it seems like
unless I have like the machine sitting here running and physically having an issue with it, I'm never gonna be able to give like a perfect bit of advice there because like that's a scenario that I can't actually picture happening in my head because it's a single needle.
Yeah.
Like that shit
No.
should just work.
It should just work. Like that's the most basic. I mean, they could do it with a fucking highlighter tube, like Tony had said last time, right? Like it's a guitar
Right.
string. Like it. That's some seriously basic stuff. If it's not working, and there's so many things that you could be doing wrong. Like if your stretch is incorrect and you're getting too much acoustics off the skin, it could end up flexing and bending the band as well, right? So maybe you're stretching too much, or maybe you're not stretching enough, or maybe your machine's running too slow, or maybe it's too fast. Like it is complex, but to tailor it to how you actually work, you'd have to see it. But yeah,
Right.
I mean, easiest thing.
Send us a video.
Yeah, send us a video, Sebastian.
Just put it all together. Send us a video of it, and then we'll deduce from there.
Send us a video in a shop setting. Because if this is in the living room,
Nah, do it at your kitchen table. We won't judge you.
Sick.
It's fine.
Don't just wipe all the GPS information off of that fucking photo before you send it, just in case people are crazy. Have you ever heard of Joseph Bryce?
No. Why has he got two first names?
Never trust someone with two first names. It's one of the machines that he's using. That one or Iron Bite, Rotary Works or some shit. I don't know any of these.
Iron Bite?
Yeah. I left up a picture for you too. Sorry, before you left. I actually wanted to share this with you because I thought you'd find a kick given how you're doing your painting right now. This is an advertising material for cellophane back in the 1950s. How many kids do you think died because of this?
The cool part is that is an illustration.
Yeah, I know it's
photograph.
just fucking great, right? But I mean, it's just like how many people be like, I'm gonna make sure my kid stays clean before church. Goodness, I thought that you liked the illustration though. It's pretty neat. Hey, we'll put that up on the website or on the.
I mean, it's a really fucking great illustration.
It is really great. Yeah, I'll
like all jokes aside, that's really fucking well done.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm putting this up in the show notes. You want to go take a look at this really rad illustration that probably shouldn't be. Well, it shouldn't be shown today. My God. People's attention spans probably destroy that shit.
I think we should bring it back. Like, illustration
from
from the 30s all the way up to the like late 50s, man. That shit was so good.
Awesome. Yeah. When people were really good at painting and stuff.
When people gave a shit, that's fine.
Yeah. When you could survive on a single income. When a house would cost you $5,000.
Right.
Oh, what was that? Okay, I think I had one more question pop up, and then I wanted to talk to you about. Actually, fuck that next question. I want to talk to you about these needles. I bought a package of extremely expensive. Well, I bought a couple packages of extremely expensive cartridge style needles that are like.
What are you calling extremely expensive?
The fucking Black Claws. About $3 and it cost me $150.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like, fuck. You know? So I had never used them before. I'm still new to this whole rotary, fucking cartridge style machine setup. But I had my Envy needles, I had a Stigma set, and then I had these Black Claws, and I have a lady I've been working on forever come in, and I just was like, hey, can you be part of this experiment? I wanted to see what these feel like and if they're different, right? So upon opening these, it's like an open box video or some shit, right? I took out the Black Claw needles, and they're made out of these like bioplastics. Everything is biodegradable, blah, 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 blah. The texture and feel on the actual tubes was way different than the hard plastic, petroleum-based plastics of these other tubes. And right when I touched it, I had a feeling that the actual tattoo application was going to be way different. I had a feeling that it was going to hurt more, and I had an idea about it, but I didn't know if you've tried those needles and had such a result. So I ended up doing a small section on this lady's leg, and it, dude, like inflamed, bruised, like everything was just gnarly. Like it was really, really, really weird. And she complained about like pain, not like this is uncomfortable because I'm getting a tattoo. She's like, that really fucking hurts. Now I know that I may be new to this whole rotary shit, of course, but like I know how to tattoo. So I literally same setup, no adjustments, took another one of the 2 tubes, cartridges or whatever, put them on my machine, ran, and she's like, wow, that's way better. I was like, huh. So my thought is the density of the plastic is causing extra vibrations. The needle's moving around a fucking lot. you know, because they're just, it doesn't feel strong. I mean, I guess like they may work well, but like the hardness of them, like a Mohs value, seems to be way off in relation to these other petroleum based plastics that we would see in there. And I didn't, have you experienced those needles or that outcome with them before?
I don't buy gimmicky bullshit, so I've never bought those needles or anything else labeled as biodegradable, blah 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 blah. So no.
All right, so maybe that can go out to people. I don't know, like, our Black Claws. Answer this for us, listeners. Are Black Claw needles textured? Maybe it was a textured needle. You know, I don't know why it would have had the same type of issue with this stuff, but maybe that could be a playing factor in this. Was there something else that's going on? Or have you had the same
Should
type
say
of
on the
experience?
box if they're textured.
It says they're not fucking textured, but God knows maybe there was some type of QC issue with this stuff. I don't know. I used a fucking 5 round.
What did you said that the plastic itself felt different. Was it like textured?
No, dude. So
Like it had grip to it?
No, like it did have like maybe it was polished, but it felt frail. You know, if you leave like a plastic bottle out in the sun for a while and you go pick it up and it just kind of crumbles. That feeling. It felt like a crumpled up plastic bag. It felt weak. It felt like airy.
So maybe
very
it's
light.
more like, right? Maybe it's like more flexible.
That's what maybe it was rigid. I did a drag test on top of I laid down some masking tape. Just drug the tips across with both of them. You know, they leave a little bit of plastic behind. There's a fucking ton of chunks coming off the Black Claw tube. Like it just seemed weaker. And I don't know if it's just the construction of the bioplastics, maybe like
I would wonder
yeah,
if the needle moving in and out of it was just shaving off plastic bits and just hammering it into the skin.
That would be fucking hilarious. Dude, that fucking her skin stood up like a fucking quarter to a half an inch, just swelled. I was like, my God, dude.
So just go
rough.
set one up with a machine, right? And then like tattoo your armrest with it.
Oh
see
yeah.
If there's like run water in it and tattoo your armrest and see if there's like little bits and pieces and shit in there.
I'll do that when I get to the shop this week. Yeah.
And then like you can always pop the back of the cartridge off, take the needle out, and then check out the inside of the tube to see if it's got groove marks worn into it.
Oh, dude, the back end of the tube, the stopper, was like no effort to pull it out. Nothing. It was like barely grabbing. It felt really loose. Like it felt janky. Like a bike that wasn't put together right. Like it was just really weird. Like you're driving like an old jalopy versus like a new Merc. You know what I mean? Like it just felt weak. And I don't want to
suck on shit. That Black Claw needles.
Like I don't want to talk shit. Like I love all of the things they're trying to do by being eco-friendly and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know if it's worth the cost to have a product maybe that, you know, is reacting this way to skin, given at least my application, which is, you know, nothing. But I'd love for you to try buying a box and see what you think of them.
You know what I fucking hate about the idea about people going like, we're going to make eco-friendly products. Cool, but the process of making those products wasn't eco-friendly. So like, what the fuck did you accomplish?
At scale, yeah. To import organic sugarcane from fucking some country 5,000 miles away to a plant that's 15,000 miles away that has to hit this to get to this place on the air. And I don't think that they're made down the street from me. I used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
I had a dude who made my needles. I just called him up and he made them for me. It was great. He was in New Jersey. I lived in Ontario, right? It was like a fucking truck would take it straight from, drop it off the DHL, and it would go to my house. It's super quick. I give him my groupings, fucking everything.
I got a dude that makes my needles. I think his name's Justin or something. He works at Needle Jig.
Just say, hey, dude, can you make them like
you
these?
You guys can just call and order them.
I was thinking about it, like,
it's back cool. They have a whole warehouse.
Yeah, just like make that shit. This is on site. It's not shipped in, you know? Like, I don't get it, man.
They do make their needles on site, actually. Needle Jig.
That's cool.
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah. We'll cut that out just in case. Yeah, I used to have this dude. He was awesome. He'd been making needles for like
I'm pretty sure
35
they do.
years.
They
He was
make.
awesome.
I'm pretty sure Mark owns the factory that makes his needles.
That's cool. Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I used to love that dude. I'd call him up, be like, "Hey, I just need to get this weird configuration." He's like, "What do you want? And how many do you want?" He's all right, cool. I'll ship it out tomorrow. We fucking make them, and they all come, blister packed like they do. And you have this weird label on it and shit. It was just like it was weird. It was like you could tell it came from somewhere else. Like most of the needles I see nowadays, regardless of the brand and the stamp that's on the back that looks like it was added after manufacture, they all look like they're from the same fucking place. They all do. Needle on bar, it looks like it comes from the same fucking place. I think it'd be
For the most part, yeah.
yeah. The raw needles, I'm pretty sure, only come from like 3 factories. People don't know they used to be graded. Was it like A through F or some shit, or 1 through 10? However many pulls it's been through that grinder when they were actually polishing the needle tips. You get the best ones at the beginning. Like Icon used to have them graded way back in the day, where you have like the red, the yellow, the green, the blue, and you just like, okay, these are the quality of needles that you're going to be getting in the diameters and stuff, and just like make your own fucking needles. Quality control is on you. Now we trust a brand to do it. But at least you got whoever's at Needle Jig. They should support our show. Head over to Needle Jig. Tell them it came from us. We love you guys.
Fuck all your other needle companies. Just go to Needle Jig.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I feel like such a boner too for buying that, dude. Like I just
especially you paid how much? Like 100 and some for 3
$150 for 60 needles.
That's just stupid. I'm just gonna call it out. That's dumb.
As somebody with an extreme nickel allergy and they needed to have a tattoo that had a specific
I'm
grade of
glad
metal,
you got
I was
money
like,
to burn,
Jesus
but-
Christ. I gotta throw them all away now. It makes me feel like shit. Like I guess I could use them, but like I don't feel comfortable using them. Like it kind of I don't
Sell them
know.
to somebody else.
Fuck. I don't know if I can do that ethically. I just gotta eat it and learn my mistake. Maybe I could. I just go on Facebook Marketplace. Like I don't like these. They're shit.
Pretty much.
I wonder if we could put this in this show and fucking people calling us up. Ooh. Any hoozles.
Hey, you want some black claw needles? Call Ryan. He'll sell them to you for, like $110.
100. You can save $40. You can use a promo call. Just fucking text me. I'll send them to you. I don't even care. Pay for shipping.
$150 for 3 fucking boxes of needles?
Yeah, dude. That's insane, isn't it?
That's insane.
I know it's like something that like I've been spending a week trying to get over that. I was like, fuck me, man. Like, why didn't I just get one of their tester boxes? It's still $50, but I was like, oh, maybe these are.
You should have known it was a terrible idea when you saw it in the shopping cart. That's so much money.
That's what I did. I was like, fuck, man. And it was for literally, and I'm not
It's just
joking.
unethical sales rate.
Yeah, it was for a minimum price tattoos. Like I just lost money. Like the whole thing was just a burn, Oh well, I'll make them work. It's like the one time that I bought like workhorse needles, and I don't like workhorse needles, but I just needed some quick, and they were like local, so it's.
I actually really love Workhorse's liner cartridges.
Their cartridges
I've
are
borrowed
fine.
a few of them, and they're fucking great.
It's their textured needles, specifically on bar. I don't like them. They're not good to me. I don't get along with them.
Oh well,
yeah.
Nobody should really use textured needles.
No,
that's just micro trauma.
I like textured needles for some of those really old guys that have just that fucking football skin. They got like their epidermis is so thick. They're just glistening with trauma from being out in the sun too much, and it's wind damage, and just looks like
fuck it. Might as well add more.
Just
rip through there with a chainsaw and
use it for 30 minutes. Yeah, you look at the tip of the needle, and it's just all skin, like on a ball. It looks like a fucking torch you'd carry through a goddamn cave. It's just disgusting. Oh, clean this off now. Past that. Close the show with just a little friendly communication. What have you been up to this week, dude? I haven't talked to you in a while. So
I've just been tattooing. Last Saturday we did the realism tattooing seminar.
Oh, how'd that go?
It was pretty fun.
Ah,
Super fun. I was actually immediately surprised at the end when nobody looked completely dumbfounded.
nice.
I assumed that there was going to be a lot of like, what the fuck does that mean?
Ah,
But there really wasn't, which
that's
tells me that
cool.
I did a good job explaining things because like um, I think I could just send you the presentation that I had, but essentially, so I have a PowerPoint presentation, obviously,
Ah.
um, but most of it was like slides with images of the things I was going to talk about, and then the words next to it was all just inside jokes. so so they could
Oh,
read the joke that was on the page, but they actually had to listen to me and pay attention to be able to get what I was talking about, which I think works better because like they saw the image, saw a joke, then we talked the real shit.
nice, dude. Yeah, that's fucking great. Good. Do you get
Yeah.
positive
So
feedback? Everything was groovy.
yeah, everybody loved it. They were like, "Oh, it was super educational," and like they actually like learned things and
Cool.
etc. I was like, "Cool." Then I think I did my job
Uh,
successfully.
that's great. It's something that
I
you
hope.
don't get to hear at the end of most seminars. Wow, I learned something.
Yeah. Well, so I structured it on two principles. One, I wasn't gonna tell anybody how to do basic bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna tell you how to pat color or saturate or run your liner or any of that shit. You should fucking know.
Uh,
And then two, I'm not gonna show you a video of me fucking tattooing because nothing I'm gonna talk about has anything to do with me fucking
uh,
tattooing.
dude, I love that approach. Yeah. Oh God, that's so
Yeah,
great.
so we could remove the idea of like brands and tattooing and etc. And like literally just talk about this in the approach of what it actually is. And
Yeah.
realism tattooing is honestly the easiest fucking type of tattooing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as long as we can talk color theory and simple practices that are used, this should be easy.
Yeah. It's applicable. And it's not just for realism either. Like this will work with fucking anything. And probably fill in some holes that maybe they may have been thinking about,
Right.
you know? Yeah. That's great. That's dude, that's same with the YouTube channel. It's the thing that we've been trying to do like nonstop. It was like, can you show us videos of you tattooing? I'm like, you're kind of missing the fucking point. It doesn't matter. Like you shouldn't be
Right.
watching me run a line so you know how to run. Like you should know how to fucking run a line. And if you have questions about why you're running that line, this will explain better why. Like it's not like yeah, it's science, but it's fine.
The one thing that pisses me off the most is tattoo seminars where it's specifically just a video of some asshole tattooing and then they're just kind of nonchalantly narrating what they're doing.
Look, I'm
They're
getting
like,
some
you can see
red.
me like pulling the skin here, and like, I dipped into this color, and like for some reason I just tattooed that color there. And it's like this is not educational.
It's so stupid. Oh golly, yeah. I just, man, this is all just going to keep pulling back the idea of fundamental application tattooing. Maybe it's just like the further you get into it, like there isn't really a lot of tricks in tattooing. There's tricks for a person or a skin tone, not that design. You know, there's just a good way or a bad way to do it. I don't.
I mean, like realistically, that's what we have to really think about, especially if we're in the idea of having seminars or doing something educational. These things are formulaic processes.
Mhm.
Most people don't care to talk about their formulaic process. They want to talk about their bullshit application process.
Yeah.
Application can change person to person. Understanding why you're using that application has to be put down. Like you have to understand why you're going to apply a thing.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what you're applying or why you're applying something, then you're not going to fucking do it.
It is of paramount importance.
You're just going to be
so
right. You're just going to be poking and hoping, and it's never going to work. So like the first half of the first half of the seminar was specifically color theory and the idea of why we have to change color theory when we're speaking about realism, right? Because like color theory on a neo-traditional tattoo is not color theory for realism. You know, we can't use just incredibly bright, saturated, psychotic colors if we're doing realism because not a lot of things in real life are psychotically bright and saturated. Essentially, we're talking about that dirty word chroma.
No, chroma.
How saturated or unsaturated a hue is specifically. So that was like the first half hour of the seminar, just talking about how to identify colors in an image, right? So instead of just talking about what colors we could use, we're talking about how we can identify color in an image, because realism is just replicating an image. So after discussing identifying colors and why they're those colors, then we went into an application process. And specifically, it was like how to structure your outline for doing realism, or how to block off sections. And basically, I said, instead of trying to just like map every tiny little, stupid fucking color that you see on an image, you should really just map planes of varying tones or varying shifts in light structures, etc. Because we're not really looking for every tiny little nuance. We're looking for planes that exist because of how they're affected by light.
Yeah.
Right.
More reflective,
and if we can identify those things, we can use any technical color as long as it's the right tone or value.
Yeah. That's really smart, dude.
So
I like that.
From that to how somebody would actually saturate the tattoo, which is instead of hyper focusing on like blending from one color to another color, we're specifically talking about the idea of like quote unquote color bumping, which is putting one color right next to another color, and as it heals, it will blend itself.
Yeah, that is one thing, dude. I think that people don't understand. My God. Yeah, sorry.
Right. From there, it's just going into like how they can arrange certain tattoos to make them look more realistic or less realistic while still doing realism. Like if I do a realistic tattoo, but then stick a cartoon character next to it, the realistic part will look more realistic.
Yeah.
So there's just little cheating
that's fucking fun, dude. That's really fun. I like that. The color bumping, I like that term. I didn't ever hear it called that before, but I think that's like a TM Brian Matthew. There you go. The color bump, and you put them next to each other. Like I've always tried to explain that to people.
It's been around for a while.
It has been. Oh, okay. But like when you're taking these things, that when you start getting into higher levels of realism, focusing even up on higher, like the hyper realistic stuff, you're still only using those small planes of color that are butting up adjacent next to each other, and all you're doing is still keeping them in tight packets. It's just a smaller packet of color that you're using, and it's still going to heal smooth. Like that's the whole point. Look at anyone who does hyperrealism, especially the 3 to 5 foot hyperrealist people like Butcher, where it only looks really awesome at 5 feet away. When you get up on it, all you're seeing is these small blocks of color. It's just little brush strokes. So good to teach something like that. That's like 101 level shit for realism.
I essentially just broke down what would have been realism painting.
Yeah.
Like the bare minimum of what is realism painting, and then broke it into how that is tattooing. Right. So we even talked about how to set up your palette, like your ink cups.
Yeah.
So how you can identify colors, mix those colors, put them in your ink cup as a palette, and then tattoo with that. And essentially that creates that tattoo or paint by number scenario, because you're just putting the right color exactly where it belongs. You don't have to worry about color blending and crazy shit. It's just a step-by-step process.
Yeah, that's fucking great, dude. It's like that really pushing that predispersed stuff as well. If you're going to be sticking with realism, trying to do individual mix stuff on that, especially if you don't understand the bases that you're using, because no one's telling us what's in the pigments anymore. It's just smarter, If you're going to stick with realism, just go right to that, because you can just pick your tone. That works. Done. You can't still cross mix a little bit, but geez, that's fucking great, dude. I was speaking of that, is like when you have the color budding, I just like that phrase now because it says but it was talking about like how to do like overblends with that stuff using washes of color, and people are like, oh, I thought you couldn't use color washes. I'm like, no, that's like the easiest way to do this shit. But your color and blend, dude. Like it's fucking super simple. Like, oh, how does that work? This how it works. It's like, oh, That's how you make stuff smooth. I'm like, yeah. No one's doing this fucking, pendulum fucking weird shit with a solid saturated color over two budded colors trying to get them to blend. It's not going to work.
I have actually seen that a lot on Instagram.
Yeah.
People doing the pendulum swing with their color, like trying to fully saturate with
Yeah.
their pendulum. And it's like, did you want this tattoo that should have been a 45-minute tattoo to take 3 hours on purpose?
I know. It heal out like shit. Like you've just totally removed like the epidermis. You just scraped it away slowly but surely. Man, it looks bright and sick as shit. No. Commit stuff to skin and then modify it afterwards. It's not you can just speed up everything that way.
Right.
Oh man. I gotta make a video about that color budding thing. I never even thought about that stuff. Trying to teach people. I thought it was just like common fucking sense.
I think it's going to always depend on who you're talking to. So like a lot of times, in painting, we're not purposely blending and smoothing every little tiny inch of a painting. You want texture. It's that whole color budding, color bumping, whatever the fuck thing is literally derived from oil painting. It's just putting one color next to another color. They're two individual planes. They don't need to be blended together.
Yeah. Visual distance, right? That's the distance of
there.
interaction in any type of painting. Like I've seen so many like large scale ones as well. When you get up on them, that they're hard to decipher and read, right? Because you can actually see and feel if you decide to touch, which I've seen people do at a fucking museum, which is hilarious. The actual painting, well, feel the texture. It's fucking do that. You step 20 feet away, and it just screams out at you. You don't notice those small bits bumping up to each other.
Where there's that, and the human brain will fill in gaps,
Stitch. Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot that we actually have to do because your brain is going to do it for you.
Yeah. Which is another reason why we said hyperrealism tattoos is fucking stupid.
Anyway,
I think that'll be it. That's a good recording for today, dude. I think we had an hour and a half, maybe two. That was kind of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
You just got like my adrenaline spiked up because we were talking about art.
That's cool. Yeah. What are you gonna do with the seminar? Are you gonna put it up anywhere where people can buy it? Do you want to do something like that, or you just have people order it from you?
There's some. Oh fuck! It's snowing outside.
Ooh, fun.
Anyway, there's little adjustments that I want to make. Just here and there, like weird little bits and pieces that I could have done better. But I don't know yet. Like the people that I did it for had a really great reaction to it. They were like, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
So I want to like test it on another group. See if it works on a bigger spectrum of people first, and if it does, then we could be like, "This is it. That's the end all be all." Like start selling that shit.
That's cool. Well, people, let us know. Shoot us an email. Send us a call. Yeah, if you don't know, we have a phone number. It's 208. What is it? 696-1828. Yes, it's an Idaho number. No, we're not in fucking Idaho. You can send us a message and let us know what's up. And let us know if you want us to come out. We'll do seminars. You can order them. Do you want to have a seminar from us? What the fuck should we charge for it? What seems fair? Or you just want to just keep on listening to the show or going to our fucking, I don't know, social media or meeting us in person and just getting it for free? I don't know. I won't give it away for free anymore.
Maybe we shouldn't. What if we just did a free seminar on Facebook?
That'd be kind of fun. Actually, that'd be kind of cool. What if we did do that? Do that and have a donation button
just
or
like
something.
That would be like the like,
easiest way to do it. Yeah.
Perfect. Right. Like the perfect one, fuck you to tattooing because everybody charges for seminars. But two, such a great promotional activity. Be like, free seminar, fuck it.
That's a really good idea. Like punk rock. You know what I mean? Like, fuck this. We'll do it by donation only. Like, we don't give a shit. Give us whatever the fuck you want. That's cool. I could bring up my surgical incision lines and fucking skin stretching acoustics one, which is I know people will be like, oh God, it is boring, but it teaches you a lot. And then Brian can have his brilliant and entertaining. What about that? Just give it away for free.
Yeah, I
Fuck.
think it'd be cool. We could talk about like like what you just said. We'll just break this down to a science and art seminar
Yeah.
that's specifically molded for tattooing.
Oh, dude, that's actually really cool. Yeah. Actually, yeah, if you wanted to piggyback on this stuff, if I could see yours, I could probably create a bunch of science footnotes or something to each one of those and just fucking add them in if people wanted to. You
We'll
can
have to
click
text
follow
about
link.
this.
Yeah. I'm gonna cut this out. It's fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be like one, like you said, like it'd be absolutely punk rock because we'd just be like, you know what, fuck everybody else. We'll just do this shit for free.
Yeah.
Just dismantle the entire fucking tattoo convention system. Be
I
like,
think
fuck
that's
it.
fucking great. Yeah, fuck you guys. Who cares? Yeah. You want continuing education credits? Sure, whatever. You give a donation of whatever you want to give, anything, and we'll send you a certificate. That works. I got the back end already built for
Are
this.
you nice? That's what I was gonna say. Can you actually write a certificate?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. You just register it with the health
Yeah, I think
departments
that's
and
fucking
stuff.
genius.
Yeah, dude. This
I
feels
think we should just
fun.
do a free seminar and then tell everybody they give us their info. We'll send them certificates.
Yeah. That's punk rock, dude.
Genius. I'm totally down for this idea. Like we could literally do it as like a Christmas giveaway.
Oh, that's a fucking yeah, dude. Yeah. That sounds really fun. There you go. Let's just leave it up. Fuck it. Do whatever you want with
Genius.
it. Yeah. That's our show for today. Everyone can get fucked. Pay attention. Love and all this, whatever. Holiday gifts. I don't fucking know. I'm excited, dude. This is neat.
Right? It's a really great idea.
This is our generic outro track. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Remember, please go give us a like, subscribe, review on any of the podcast players or platforms that you enjoy listening to us on. And thanks. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for listening to the show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you again next week.